and we must sincerely apologize for the technical hitch. The Ghana National Fire Service has a new BONO regional headquarters in Sunyani. The project, which started in 1999 and installed along the line, resumed in 2019 and is now fully completed and in use. Its inauguration by President AKUFO-ADDO was his first engagement on the last day of his working tour of the BONO region.
For years, both the regional and municipal GNFS operated from the same premises. This led to congestion at the station, which also hosted the ambulance service. In response to their cries for help, a contract was awarded for the construction of a new regional headquarters for the GNFS in BONO in 1996, with actual work starting in 1999. Unfortunately, the project stalled for close to a decade before it was revived in 2018. After 3 years, the first phase, valued at just over 2.6 million Ghana cedis, has been completed and now inaugurated by the President. The first phase of the new HQ consists of a parade ground, an administration block and stores. Also included are an appliance bay for 4 fire tenders. The President performed the inauguration, inspected some facilities, and signed the visitor's book before heading for his next engagement at the municipal hospital in Sunyani. There, the President commissioned this new maternity block. The President was also at the 3rd garrison of the Ghana Army, where he inaugurated a new administration block built for the garrison by the Middle Belt Development Authority. The Chief Executive of the authority, Mr. Joe Dankwa, explained that their support for the Ghana Army is to shore up security in the BONO region. President AKUFO-ADDO also inspected work on an assembly hall and accommodation units for the soldiers. He also inspected an administration block under construction for the Sunyani West Municipal Assembly. The President also stopped at the Chira Traditional Council and paid a courtesy call on the Chief of Chira, Berima Minta-Sari. The chief praised President AKUFO-ADDO for the many projects undertaken in his area. He was excited that the free SHS has caused the population of the Chira SHS to shoot up from under 200 to about 2,000. He, however, appealed for a bus and an administration block for the school. The chief said his people are in dire need of upgrading of their health center as the population has outgrown the facility.
Chira Senior High, Mra Kurariye 2,155 no. Na baby abebeda kuranana na yetemi. Hedu baby na eseka yefa kwa bisu de ko hanifie kura abontre. MP da na nyabotre. Ye wura mana na mekashe wanumyam se yewo girls dormitories biensa within short time. Until any problem. Classroom block.
President AKUFO-ADDO thanked the chiefs and people of Chira for their support and promised to see to the challenges enumerated by the chief.
A Kwana walk town road and now come assembly. A car road na ye town roads no. A car the Quembia so and so. Sunyani Teaching Hospital there Mekawo Sunyani say a shall say name as my menu any Minister for Education. Who she said down. Nante it be to no be to me who acquire the faso any teaching hospital.
The World Health Organization, WHO, on Wednesday said it will begin testing 3 drugs currently used to treat other diseases to determine if they can be used as treatments for COVID-19. At a news briefing from the agency's headquarters in Geneva, WHO Director General said the organization, in its ongoing effort to find new treatments for COVID-19, will begin trials involving artesunate, a treatment for severe malaria, imatinib for certain cancers, and infliximab, a treatment for immune system disorders such as Crohn's disease. The WHO chief said the drugs were chosen by an independent panel of experts that evaluates all the available evidence on all potential therapeutics. He said the testing, known as the Solidarity Plus trials, will involve thousands of researchers at more than 600 hospitals in 52 countries.
Our testing will be part of a global trial together with imatinib, a drug used for certain cancers, and infliximab, used for diseases of the immune system. The study is expected to be completed by May next year. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the drugs were chosen by an independent panel of experts that evaluates all the available evidence on all potential therapeutics. He said the inclusion of the drug is not an indication that it is effective in treating COVID-19. Previously, 4 drugs were evaluated and the results showed all of them, remdesivir, hydroxychloroquine, lopinavir and interferon, had little or no effect on hospitalized patients with COVID.
Solidarity Plus will test 3 drugs: artesunate, a treatment for severe malaria; imatinib, a drug for certain cancers; and infliximab, a treatment for immune system disorders such as Crohn's disease. These drugs were chosen by an independent panel of experts that evaluates all the available evidence on all potential therapeutics. The trial involves thousands of researchers at more than 600 hospitals in 52 countries.
In a dawn raid on Thursday, illegal structures at parts of ODORKOR AKATARME in Accra were demolished. Residents complained of the rather short notice, which made it impossible for them to move their wares to safety. GBC News' Clara Mlano came across the demolition.
If this is your preferred place to buy phones, electrical appliances, used laptops, foodstuffs, or your while-away hunt, then you might rethink or look elsewhere, because this is the current state. Officials from the Ablekuma North Municipal Assembly, under heavy security, demolished the place at dawn with nothing to salvage by owners. Some victims of the demolition said they had been selling here for over 2 years, and despite being served notice to move, they least expected it this soon. It is also home for some families. Now they are displaced. The land in question is being contested for in court by 2 parties, so there is an injunction on it. Leaders of the area contend that there was no need for the exercise with the injunction in place. However, officials of the Ablekuma North Municipal Assembly say the exercise was carried out to rid the place of all forms of illegality. In the meantime, security personnel are on guard 24/7 to prevent anyone from taking over that location again.
The University of Ghana Department of Archaeology and Heritage Studies has begun a project to reorient the mindset of Ghanaians on what really their history and cultural values are. A former head of the department, Professor Kojo Gavua, says for Ghana to transform, she must return to her roots and reposition herself appropriately. He was addressing a session in Accra dubbed Reconceptualizing and Presenting African Heritage Beyond Popular Narratives.
The department is studying the history as well as the antecedents of Ghanaians and how they can impact on the total transformation and development of Ghana. It is collaborating with musicians, indigenous artisans, artists and writers. The team believes that only Ghanaians can tell their stories better. Video stories and traditional events are being documented to serve as learning points for all Ghanaians. The Omanhene of ACCRA traditional area, Nana Kwabena Nketia, said Africans, and for that Ghanaians, need to rediscover who they are to make effective use of their capabilities.
Africa can only be reconfigured from its own humanistic philosophies and ideologies. And in rethinking, we must enter and interrogate the memory, as Professor Gavua said, of indigenous Africa.
A former lecturer at the Department of Archaeology and Heritage Studies of the University of Ghana, Professor Kojo Gavua, said the team wants to go beyond the orthodox mode of knowledge production and presentation to make better impact on Ghanaians.
When we produce knowledge today, we want to go back to the communities and show them what we have done, let them comment on them, what they wish the public to know, what they don't want the public to know. Then, based on their approval, we share with the general public, particularly the children, and soon we'll have packages on social media for younger generation to consume.
The future of Ghana depends on its current interpretation of its history.
In the International Maritime Bureau's IB latest global piracy report, the Gulf of Guinea continues to be a global epicenter for piracy. According to the IMB Piracy Reporting Center, PRC, in the first quarter of 2021, there were 38 piracy incidents reported on 33 vessels, as well as the kidnapping of 40 crew members within the stated period. While there is an ongoing interregional effort by all West African coastal states through the ECOWAS Maritime Security Architecture to minimize the incidents within the Gulf of Guinea in Ghana, the Ghana Maritime Authority (GMA) is working on a number of interventions, including the introduction of new legislations to deal with the menace. The government is also investing in the maritime sector to tackle the increasing spate of piracy attacks in the Gulf of Guinea. We have the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority (GMA), Mr. Thomas Alonsi, joining us on the phone with some more details on Ghana's strategies to deal with pirates in her territorial waters. Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Alonsi.
Good afternoon.
Sir, should we be worried about the spate of piracy on the Gulf of Guinea?
There's no cause for alarm because together with other stakeholder institutions who has to ensure that we provide security for shipping and also ensure that there is safety as far as our territorial concern when it comes to shipping. We are doing a lot to prevent these piracy attacks and to stem the unfortunate incidents that happened some few weeks ago. To ensure that we stem those attacks, we nip them in the bud. There are efforts that we have put in place.
All right. Well, piracy used to be concentrated in the Horn of Africa, but now the attention has been shifted to the Gulf of Guinea. What accounts for this?
Well, you know, as criminals, what they do is that they look for places they consider to be soft spots. They want to be able to perpetrate their heinous crimes and then quickly move away. So I want to believe that they perhaps have found that there are gaps in between the security architecture that we have within the sub-region, and that is why perhaps they're seeking to exploit the loopholes that exist.
So for Ghana, we have the GMA, we also have the Naval Command Joint Patrol Surveillance activities. Are the activities yielding the expected results, and how much is the government also investing in maritime security?
Yes, as you rightly indicated, yes, we are fighting this menace together with the Ghana Navy, the Marine Police. National security is also involved. So on our part, as an institution charged with ensuring the safety and security of shipping, we have ensured that we have acquired a number of fast patrol boats with which we conduct joint patrols with the Navy, the Marine Police, and sometimes the national security. This is to ensure that we are able to ward off these pirates from our coasts, from our ports, our anchorages, and our territorial waters general. So that's one of the things we are doing. Again, we have also realized that there are gaps in our legislative framework in terms of the Criminal Offences Act. When we look at sections 193 and 194, they deal specifically with piracy. We think that they do not conform with international standards. And we were confronted with this reality some time back. Some pirates were arrested, and we found it very difficult to implement them. So what we're seeking to do now is that, together with the Attorney General's Department, we are amending those two sections, section 193 and 194, to bring them in tandem with what the law is at the international level, what the UNCLOS provides. So we are amending these two sections. Again, we have also come to the realization that if we even amended these two sections, there will be other areas that people could still exploit. So we are also looking at putting in place a very comprehensive maritime offences bill, and this we are also working on.
Okay, so let's talk about this bill. Is that the introduction of the proposed Comprehensive Maritime Offences Act to offset the provisions in section 193 and 194 of the Criminal Offences Act that is now outdated? Please tell us the progress that you've made so far.
In terms of the amendment to sections 193 and 194, stakeholder consultations are taking place already. But so that one is far advanced. But we think that apart from that, we need a comprehensive maritime offences bill to deal with other issues relating to the industry. So that is also being worked upon. Yes.
So what stage have you reached? Is it 50%? At what stage? Can you tell us the stage? Because so far you've been telling us...
I can't assign percentages to the exercise. All I can say is that we've done the stakeholder consultations regarding the amendments. The last one was done over 2 months ago, so that is far advanced. Okay. In terms of the Comprehensive Maritime Offences Bill, as I indicated, we are working with the Attorney General's Department. We've also engaged some consultants to assist so that we come out with something that we think would stand the test of time. We plug all the loopholes that exist in terms of fighting maritime crime in the industry.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Thomas Alonsi. Mr. Thomas Alonsi is the Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, GMA.
You're most welcome.
Today is International Youth Day. The youth is usually said to be the future leaders, and for that reason, a lot of attention is given to them. In almost every country, the government invests a lot in youth-related programs. While youth unemployment is a major challenge confronting the world today, there is also a large number of young people within the youth brackets who are themselves very irresponsible and wayward. The United Nations Fund for Population Activities, UNFPA, works with governments of all UN member states and partners to advocate adolescents and youth rights and investment, including education and livelihood skills, and also sexual and reproductive health. We have the UNFPA country representative, Mr. Niyi Ojulape, on standby to speak to us via Zoom about how effectively this UN agency is preparing the world's future leaders. Good afternoon, Mr. Niyi Ojulape. Yes, sir, can you please unmute your mic and so that we can't hear you? Yeah, hi, I can see you, but your mic is not on. Okay, let's try and see whether you can hear me. Although there is no internationally agreed definition of what constitutes the youth, the UN for statistical purposes defines youth as those persons between the ages of 15 and 24 years. Kindly give us a rundown of how you've been supporting the youth. Unfortunately, we seem not to be getting the sound of Mr. Niyi Ojulape. We'll get back to him later. You're still watching News Hour Live on GBC News. We're moving on to another story. We'll try and get back to Niyi. Good roads are every road user's wish for safe daily travel and for vehicles to remain in top condition. However, due to various circumstances, vehicles can veer off their lanes, but thanks to guardrails, many potentially tragic crashes are curtailed. They lessen the severity of crashes and deflect a vehicle back to the roadway. Unfortunately, in many parts of the country, some damaged guardrails are not repaired, posing danger to both motorists and pedestrians. A guardrail is first and foremost a safety barrier intended to shield the motorist who has left the roadway. The best case scenario, if a car is veering off the road, guardrails help that car to come to rest unhindered. The story along the Otankar barrier stretch of the Accra-Kumasi highway is sad. The guardrails, ostensibly hit by drivers who wanted to avoid accidents, are damaged and lying dangerously on the shoulders of the road or even hanging precariously. This certainly is not what is expected on our roads. Driving through the Mile 7 junction, ABC and Neoplan, the story is no different. Even some street lights hit by drivers are also left unattended to and hanging dangerously. This, many complain, is a recipe for disaster. Our lenses also captured this disturbing spectacle at the Achimota overpass. Concrete holding the beams having chipped off with sharp objects, leaving the iron rods exposed. The news team gathered that occupants of heavy-duty trucks with loads that exceed the height limits for driving under the bridge are the main culprits. Traders and shop owners here say this is not a new phenomenon. They allege that the drivers who flout the country's regulations are mostly from neighboring Burkina Faso or Niger. We were told the trucks often got stuck under the bridge due to the height of the load, and so they chip off the concrete to enable them offload some of the goods from their trucks, free same before reloading and continuing on their journey without a care. Many shake their heads with helplessness at this very sad and disturbing situation. So you call Kwakutre, GBC News, Accra. The new Fadama Community Clinic in the Okankwe Central Municipality has received some medical equipment to improve its health delivery capacity. The equipment come at a time that the government is working tirelessly to strengthen the healthcare system for efficient service delivery.
The equipment included vaccine fridge, delivery set, autoclave machine, stethoscope and personal protective equipment. Presenting the items, the Member of Parliament for the Okankwe Central Constituency, Mr. Patrick Yabuame, entreated the beneficiary to take proper care of the items for the benefit of posterity.
There's a big community made up of everybody, Christians, Muslims, and a lot of visitors do come around. So we needed this facility as a first stop health facility to be able to take care of our health needs within the community.
Receiving the items, the registered community head nurse at the clinic, Mr. Douglas Ofori, expressed gratitude and promised the equipment would be properly handled.
And as earlier stated, today is International Youth Day, and we want to talk to the UNFPA country representative, Ms. Eni Ojolape, to tell us about what the UN is effectively as an agency doing to prepare world's future leaders. Good afternoon, Mr. Ojolape.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Right, now we can hear you. Well, although there is no internationally agreed definition of who constitute the youth, the UN for statistical purposes defines youth as those persons between the ages and 24. So can you kindly give us a rundown of how you've been supporting the youth as an agency?
Thank you very much. Thanks very much for having me once more. Just to quickly address the issue of the age, the definition of who is a young person or who is a youth actually varies from organization to organization, so to say. For us in the UN, it's capped at 24, but it varies also between countries. In some countries in Africa, it is 13. In some countries, also the African Union also takes at 35. So it varies, but then the issue of young people, the most important part of it is that this is the young, this is the working population of the people who still have quite a number of years to put into national development. And for us in the United Nations Population Fund, and in the entire United Nations system, we have a way of engaging young people because it has been recognized. First, that about 65–70% of people across Africa are the young people. And so this is the bulk of our population. Whatever we need to do, we have to address them through young people. Now, we have what we have done is to do two levels of engagement. First, to empower young people so that they will be able to contribute to national development, to harness their potential. The second major important thing is also the issue of inclusion. So we engage them so that they can work with us. For example, here in our organization, we have what we call a youth fellowship program, in which we have currently we have 25 young people that we have given different types of training, and they are working with us in the office for 1 year. By virtue of that, they will learn how things are in the real world. They will go through the training, and the training will equip them with information and education about what to do. And then apart from that, they will learn practically how to work within the development community, so that by the time they transit out, they will be ready to contribute to national development. So that's a strategy of engagement, and that's a strategy of inclusion. But the other thing that we do in the United Nations system is to ensure that they are ready to try to give them employment, because employment is a major issue across the globe, and to also give appropriate education. For example, we know that without technology, without technological education these days, a young person cannot do much. So we equip them with technological education so that they will be able to compete in the real world.
Mr. Ojo-Lape, you know that we know that the definition of the youth differs from country to country. Let's take South Africa for example, and their definition is those between the ages of 15 and 34. So can you tell us who or which bracket of the youth are we celebrating today?
It is every young people, anybody that is a youth, anybody that any country recognizes as a youth. So because, like I said, for some it's 24. The United Nations system sees young people at ages of 24. But they have to, we're in Africa and we're in Ghana. So the definition of Africa and Ghana stretches it all the way to 35. So for us, any young person, I mean, those are the young people that we have in the country and in Africa, and that is the target population for our engagement and our action.
Well, there are many people who do not have any form of employment. But these numbers, quite a number of them are just not unemployable, but they are very irresponsible and wayward or perverse. Does the UNFPA have any corrective programs for such youth?
Actually, the issue of employment and gainful employment, as a matter of fact, it's a worldwide thing. It's something that is systemic, and it's a worldwide problem. And for us, particularly in Africa, it has been recognized as the pathway to development for any country and for the entire continent. So for us in the United Nations system, because we have specialized agencies that look after the issues of employment, equipment of the young people so that they can be gainfully employed and all of that. So our colleagues in the International Labour Organization, our colleagues in the UNDP, they have specific programs with which to equip young people with the right kind of tools, either through information education or skills acquisition, so that they can so that they can be gainfully employed. So we have several programs that actually looks after that.
Okay, finally, what advice do you have for the youth?
For the media?
For the youth as we're celebrating them today.
Yes, thank you. I think the most important thing for us to recognize the fact that the young people, they have immense potentials, and we need to do all we can in order to ensure that the potentials of young people are harnessed. And it is when it is done so that we can actually achieve optimum development as a nation. So we call on everybody to join us to encourage young people and to equip them as necessary so that they can achieve their full potential.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ojo-Lape, for your time. And Mr. Nii Ojo-Lape is the country representative of the UNFPA, and we're speaking about the youth as we celebrate the Youth International Day today. Now, moving on, the Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers has increased the prices of eggs with effect from Tuesday. Speaking to the media in Accra, the association attributed the increment to high cost of raw materials and other input for the poultry.
The Ghana National Association of Poultry Farmers cited several other reasons for the increment in the prices of eggs.
We propose that the farmers sell their large eggs as 24 cedis per tray, 30, the 30 tray. And they sell the 22 cedis, the 30, the 30 pieces of eggs, the tray. And then the unsalted, 22 cedis, the small, 20, and the pullet, 18 cedis. So we use this opportunity to inform them that if they go to the market and the egg sellers increase their prices, they shouldn't think farmers want to maybe make excess profit. As a matter of fact, we are running at a loss.
In another development, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, through its Veterinary Services Directorate, has confirmed the outbreak of the highly pathogenic avian influenza disease, otherwise known as bird flu, in parts of the country, the Greater Accra, Central, Ashanti and Volta regions. Poultry farmers in these regions have been badly hit by the outbreak of the bird flu. The chairperson of the Greater Accra Regional Association of Poultry Farmers, Madam Gifty-Rodo therefore appealed to government to subsidize the cost of poultry feed to keep the farmers in business.
We believe that fisherfolks, although they don't feed the fish in the sea, yet they have pre-mixed fuel, subsidy cost to go and fish. We feed our birds, and so we also need subsidy. And we plead with him to give us subsidy and help us come out of these circumstances immediately.
For nearly a decade, the Ghana poultry industry has dwindled as a result of intense competition from imported poultry meat and the decreasing profitability of egg production.
You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News and GTV. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with the business.